Hey, what's going on? I'm Joe Cronin. Welcome back to the Toss-Up. It's the first episode of 2024. It's a little bit strange, but what better way to kick it off than talking about the NFL playoffs? Everyone always saying new year, new me. Some things you got to stick to the same, so buckle it up and stick around because we got a fantastic show coming up on the Toss-Up. It may be a little too cold to walk to and from Franklin Hall, but the NFL postseason is only heating up, as even before Super Wildcard Weekend, there was some groundbreaking coaching news that's going to kind of shake up the way that we see the league for the foreseeable future. But here to break down the first round of the playoffs, great panel here today, Ben Haller, Charlie Harris, and Noel Ferry. Glad to have you guys on set. And Charlie, I have to say, I would feel bad as your time as a Cowboys fan, but it's a love story.
Yeah, okay. I see what you did there, Joe.
Yeah, it's creative.
Yeah. Hey, well, the Packers at 9-8, I don't think, a 7 seed has never won in a playoff game before.
They were 0-6 before the Packers. They're now, 1-7
yeah.
throughout the first 4 years of implementing the 17 playoff format. Let's jump right into it. Wildcard Weekend was, I don't know, the games weren't great. There was really only one game that was viewable throughout the entirety of the 3.5-hour broadcast, and that was the Rams-Lions. Presumably, I think we all agree. Ben, I'll go to you first, though. A lot of great performances from individual players. MVP of the Wildcard Weekend.
You talk about MVP, it's just hard for me not to pick a quarterback just with how valuable quarterbacks are in today's NFL, especially when you get to the playoffs. That's why I got to go who performed the best out of all the quarterbacks and who I think had the biggest impact, and that was Baker Mayfield. Obviously, you talk about that Buccaneers game. Defense is a big thing, but also Baker Mayfield being able to break through that Eagles defense that had a good first half of the season, but he finished off the Eagles' collapse over 300 yards. He played really well.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that more. For a guy like Baker Mayfield, who was stored away in Carolina, it was a fever dream, his time in Carolina.
He was playing scout defensive line.
On the D-line. Forgot he existed, and then now you fast forward a year, he's won a playoff game. He has a chance for an NFC championship if he beats Detroit. Baker Mayfield, a great pick for MVP over Wildcard Weekend.
I mean, that's huge. You got a second playoff win ever. That's more than the Browns have had since 1995. It's just kind of seeing that maybe he was never the problem there. Charlie, who was your MVP pick?
If it's not Baker Mayfield, it's Jordan Love. I mean, 48 points against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, they won the division. They won the NFC East. They won the NFC East, but they were not meant to be there. If the Philadelphia Eagles didn't completely fall off to end the regular season, the Dallas Cowboys should not have hosted a home game. They were exposed by a hungry and a young Green Bay offense, and it showed. Green Bay has a chance to beat the Niners, I think. We'll get to that.
And we will touch on that more in the episode. And a team with nothing to lose, they're dangerous.
Yes.
Been talking about that throughout the season. Noel.
Green Bay does have a bit of a bad track record against the Niners.
Yes.
If everyone's
we'll get to that later.
But regardless, I agree. I think that Packers win, if you look at every single game, the most spectacular win being that 7 seed, that was huge. And so I think overarching on the weekend, that's the win you go to. And the player that I liked the most out of that game was Aaron Jones, a guy who we know the talent was there, just kind of a quiet regular season, picked it up as of late, and to be able to score 3 touchdowns against a really stout Dallas defense and just run all over them. When you get ran all over on a defense, completely destroys all your morale. I mean, that's going to kill any football team, and Aaron Jones exposed them.
Yeah, he was dinged up a little bit throughout this season, and in 3 must-win games against the Vikings, Bears, and now the Cowboys, he's rushed 20 carries and over 100 yards on all 3 of those games. So he's stepped up when it mattered the most. I do want to dive a little bit into how some of the games fared, and we're going to just start with the first one that was played. Charlie, go to you first with this one. It was the Texans over the Browns, and that was the first beatdown of the wild card weekend. The Texans defense showed up, and C.J. Stroud.
Pretty much every other game in the wild card was a blowout, including this one. And C.J. Stroud, man, oh man, he has come on so strong. DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans are getting better and better every single week. I was shaky on them coming into Indianapolis, the last game of the regular season. I really thought the Colts were going to win that game, but they didn't. The Houston Texans have a chance. They blew out the Cleveland Browns, and with a rookie quarterback like C.J. Stroud, I mean, he has nothing to lose, as does the rest of this Texans team.
I mean, if Gardner Minshew doesn't throw a terrible 4th-and-1 throw, that Indianapolis team is in place of Houston.
Yeah.
Moving on, next game on the slate, Ben, it's to you. The Chiefs still seeming like the team to beat, at least in the NFC. I know they're the 3, and now they're on the road for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' playoff career, which has been said at least a dozen times now. They take down the Dolphins in Tyreek's homecoming. He gets his touchdown, but Tua he doesn't look like the guy.
Well, I think this game proves something wrong for anyone that says playoff experience isn't a huge deal. And that's what I think a lot of this game was. The Chiefs, a lot of players that have been there before. Not the best weapons. The Dolphins have better weapons than the Chiefs do. Not a ton of great receivers outside of Rashee Rice having a great game. Travis Kelce's been struggling lately. But Patrick Mahomes is just so poised, and being that leader, that quarterback is huge. Tua Tagovailoa couldn't get it done.
As far as playoff debuts went for a receiver, he really set the tone, and then somehow there was still another receiver or maybe 2 that exceeded what he did, and that just went to someone the way the weekend went.
Keep in mind, that game was also like -4 degrees out.
Yeah.
I mean,
weather is a part of football, and I think that implemented why the Dolphins just couldn't get their offense going.
True.
But at the end of the day, the Chiefs' offense and the way that Patrick Mahomes plays the game, he wins, and he's done it before. Charlie, I have to bring it back to you for the next game. It's on the table right in front of us. It's hard knowing the fact that since AT&T Stadium has been a thing, the Packers have won more playoff games there than the Cowboys have.
Yeah.
Once again, got it done. The first 7 seed, like you mentioned before. What happened?
30 years of disappointment if you're a part of the Dallas Cowboys organization.
So sad.
I mean, year after year, they have a good roster. They build a good team. You expect playoff success, and yet it really never comes, ever. Hasn't been that way they haven't been to an NFC Championship game in 27 years. So, and then you look at this game, you allow 48 points to the Green Bay Packers. You were favored by 7 points going into that game. I mean, there are literally no excuses left for Dallas. Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy, Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator, I think he's out the door, probably going to a head coaching job somewhere. He did not look like he cared about preparing for that wild card game.
Poor Yankees and Lakers fans.
I was curious about your thought with some of the coaching staff, especially with Dan Quinn. I mean, throughout all the season, he was preached about as this defensive guru. The team loved him. Guys like Micah Parsons, Deron Bland was having a breakout year, getting more touchdowns than some pretty marquee receivers did. But then just the collapse, is that all on Quinn? Is it all on some of the effort of the players?
I honestly think the lights are just too bright because Dak and his crew have been in this situation since 2016. They've had a great roster for nearly 8 years now. And they've been to the playoffs several times. Dak is just 2-5 in the playoffs, and they're playing plenty of home games while this is going on. And I don't know if it's Jerry Jones. I don't know if he's putting too much of his hand in things, or if it's the players. But CeeDee Lamb did not look like he wanted to do any part of that game. He was disinterested, and so was the rest of this offense, uninspired.
Jerry Jones looked pretty fed up after that pick 6.
Yeah.
If you see him, he's looking back. Definitely had the NFL meme community having a field day with that for sure. Noel, I promise we'll get to you. We're wrapping up with the Sunday slate. Probably the most anticipated game of Wild Card Weekend, the ultimate homecoming, the home playoff game for the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford's back into town. The Lions get it done. They have their moment. And Dan Campbell, I mean, what a coach. I would want to play for him. Ben, takeaways from that.
Yeah, whoever was writing the script for the NFL this season really knew what they were doing putting this game together. I mean, it's a dark time anytime you are a franchise and you downgrade at quarterback. It usually means you're rebuilding things, and that's what happened a few years ago when the Lions shipped away Matthew Stafford and they got Jared Goff. But Jared Goff's improvement and his ability to be that guy for Detroit means everything to the city. I mean, it's ironic that their first playoff win in over 30 years comes against Matthew Stafford, but it's not just Goff. I mean, it's a really deep Lions team. When you talk about the roster as a whole, it's one of the better ones in the NFL, and Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to be one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL.
They got some great weapons. Might have gotten one of the steals of the draft this past year, too, with Sam Laporta. Just the way that he might have been one of the best tight ends this season. Might have been number one. Obviously, maybe him and George Kittle. Travis Kelce kind of had a down year, but Sam Laporta was kind of that guy. And just you see what this Lions culture has done. Now you have Ben Johnson. He's one of the hottest targets for some of these head coaching voids, and their season's still going on. Noel, it's finally time to get to you. The Monday night game started with the Bills taking care of business. Josh Allen protected the ball. They get it done over the Steelers.
Yeah, I think it was a really important game for Josh Allen. The Bills, kind of a shaky regular season, and now Josh Allen has the biggest task in front of him. This was one of those games where, you've got your eye on the prize if you're the Bills. You're looking at the Chiefs, and you got to make sure you show up to that first game, that wild card game. And they did. Mason Rudolph.
Something the other two seed didn't do.
Exactly. And when you have Mason Rudolph as your starting quarterback, that's not the best case scenario, but you can't pin that as an unfortunate circumstances. Really, is Mason Rudolph that much worse than Pickett or Trubisky? I mean, they were putting maybe their best guy out there. You see George Pickens comes out to the media and says, you can't play the Bills and the refs. When you get blown out like that, a statement like that to me, that's crazy. That's crazy. But
how much he was fined for that.
Oh, I never.
But yeah, I think Josh Allen gets it done, like how the Bills are looking.
Steelers and diva receivers, it's like clockwork, I feel like. It just keeps cycling. Ever since Vontaze Burfict laid a nice boom on Antonio Brown, they just had a
first
nice...
domino. It was the first domino.
It was the first domino, and it just endless. I wonder who's going to be next.
Le'Veon Bell wasn't great either.
That's true as a running back. I mean, Najee Harris is probably their only skill position guy. He's just like trying to have fun and just keeps getting banged up. But, I mean, I'm going to come back to the Bills-Steelers. With Mike Tomlin obviously has answered some questions now after that it looks like he's going to be the long-term option. Do you think that's the right idea, keeping him? Obviously, he's a great coach getting into the playoffs every year, but the success, they haven't won a playoff game since 2016.
Yeah, it's tough because I think around the league, you look at the all-time great coaches. Something that's very parallel to this is Pete Carroll just leaving the Seahawks. You can have those winning records all you want, but when a team is stagnant and you've tried a lot of things, they just lost Ben Roethlisberger a few years ago. Maybe it's time for a change. Mike Tomlin is a fantastic coach. I guarantee you he goes somewhere else, he'll be just as good. But sometimes I think teams just need a change of scenery.
And now that leads us to the final game of Wild Card Weekend. A team that might have the worst collapse I've ever seen with the Eagles. The Bucs take them down. Baker Mayfield, redemption arc. What happened in that game?
Yeah, I think Eagles fans were really happy this season. Looked like they were going to beat the Super Bowl slump. Looked fantastic. Jalen Hurts continued to play pretty well. But then this collapse, this is all time. I mean, goodness me, Baker Mayfield coming in, as much of a great story as it is for Baker, he's kind of what Johnny Manziel wishes that he would have been in the league. But this Bucs team came in there, like we said before, not too much to lose, plenty of pieces on that Bucs team all around. Baker really the only guy that you shake your head at. But the Eagles, Sirianni, I mean, there's a lot of questions about that, getting popcorn thrown on his head. Jalen Hurts, the QBR has been disastrous since I don't even know with probably 6 weeks prior in the regular season. I don't know. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is the answer. I don't know if Sirianni is the answer. The problem with the Eagles is they were right there. You hope that you can build on that. They're going the wrong way.
I mean, their defense, too. It just didn't look like they wanted to play.
Yeah, well,
on the 2 long touchdowns the Bucs had, it was just bad tackling.
The thing about the Eagles is last year when you go to the Super Bowl, you have strong coordinators on both sides. You had Stan Steichen, who you see what he's doing now with Indianapolis, doing a great job. Then Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator who went to the Arizona Cardinals. When you remove those two guys from the equation, the Philadelphia Eagles are a completely different team. And after they played the San Francisco 49ers, they lost 5 of their last 6 games, including the one against Tampa Bay. I think that is the real problem, is losing those 2 coordinators who play a big role in what schemes and what plays they run. And it all falls on Nick Sirianni. So a very, very interesting offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles.
It'll be interesting to see how some of these things unfold, especially, the Cowboys, the Eagles. There's a lot of questions to be answered.
2 of those teams in a very weird spot.
It's weird because they're good, but it's like, what's next when you can't get it done, when you get embarrassed on national television?
Exactly.
Moving forward, the divisional round is coming up. I just want to know a quick answer. Ben, to you first. What game looks the most exciting?
It's hard to pick, but the Ravens-Texans is just going to be fun. C.J. Stroud and Lamar Jackson, a new and upcoming coach, D'Amico Ryan, and then a very experienced, proven coach in Harbaugh. It's going to be high-powered. I think we're going to see a lot of scoring, and C.J. Stroud versus Lamar Jackson doesn't get better than that.
Curious to see how Houston does against that Ravens defense, because that Ravens defense was putting up record numbers in sacks this year, and I know the Browns defense was all the talk heading into the week, but I think the Ravens are a whole nother level above.
I mean, if you can win a playoff game, you are legit. And if you can blow out a team in a playoff game, you're even more
Daniel
legit.
Jones won a playoff game.
All right, it's true. But I feel a way about the Texans. I believe in them to maybe not this upcoming week against the Ravens. But
is that your pick for game?
No, my pick is going to be, I'm going to pivot to the NFC.
Oh.
The Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. We've seen that playoff matchup a few times.
Definitely.
Too many times.
Green Bay finally with Jordan Love, not Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see if it plays a difference.
The difference of this one is the Packers now are on the tail end of it, where they're the team kind of with nothing to lose.
So
49ers have everything to lose. They have I feel like the Super Bowl or bust team.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the case 2 years ago when the Packers were hosting the Niners in the divisional round, and that was a 13-10, just ugly Robbie Gould game-winning field goal.
I think the game that has the best narrative surrounding it is this Chiefs-Bills game. I mean, this is a tale as old as time between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen, once again, up to bat. Can he hit it out of the park against Patrick Mahomes?
I think this time Josh Allen, for the first time in this matchup, has more around him than Patrick Mahomes does. So that's what I'm excited for.
All right, before we go to break, I want to ask a pretty big question about a team. Who do you think has the most pressure? What team it's like you got to advance at least to the NFC or AFC championship, Ben?
It's the Baltimore Ravens right now. I just think with all their history in the last few years, it's so hard for them to stay, as knock on wood, as healthy as they have this season. And I don't know how long they can. Lamar Jackson finally getting able to play that whole season. If they can't win now, they're my pick for the Super Bowl winners. If they can't win now, that's big.
By the way, Lamar is going to be an MVP, and I love to see it. I think the team.
Good for him.
I think the team with the most pressure, though, is, like you mentioned, Joe, the San Francisco 49ers. They've been building this defense for the last 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know how long. They've been in the Super Bowl. They've been in the NFC Championship game. They have a championship pedigree. They're capable of doing it.
A great coach.
Can they, though? Can they do it? So I think they are under the most duress.
Yeah. For me, I think it's the Bills right now. I've heard a lot of Josh Allen, Phillip Rivers comparisons in terms of how their careers might play out. I just think, how much better can the weapons get around Josh Allen? Gabe Davis, kind of having an off year, but even then, like having him as your two-punch, that's great. You get Dalton Kincaid. He has been a great addition to that team. The defense has been shaky here and there, but I think, the Bills, they're not going to be in this position forever. I think they have some pressure on them.
So due to time restraints, we're going to skip our Super Bowl predictions, but we'll be right back to do a little bit of Super Bowl trivia, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the toss-up. We're not really going to preview the Super Bowl all that much. Rather do some trivia, because why not? Some fun questions. I don't know. You guys ready for it? It's just a quick 10 questions.
Yeah,
definitely.
Let's get into it. Number 1, what was the cost of the first Super Bowl ticket?
$1.50.
No. Well, that's way too cheap.
Give me $15.
Close.
$12.
$12. $12.
First try.
To watch, what was it, the Packers and Chiefs were Super Bowl wins?
Yeah.
Wow.
Bart Starr.
Yes.
Imagine going to the Super Bowl for $12. Number 2, this Super Bowl halftime show caused a blackout in 2013 when the Ravens and Niners played.
2012. Come on.
Who was it?
It was Beyonce, right?
Beyonce.
Yeah.
Boom.
Beyonce.
All the single ladies, stuff like that.
Took all the lights with her.
Next question. The last wild card team to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, the Giants, 2000-something.
Wrong.
That's a wild card team. The Rams.
Recently. No.
The Buccaneers?
It was the Buccaneers.
Oh, you're right.
They were the 5.
You're right.
They were the 5 in 2020.
2020, come on.
They had a rough start to their season, and then
Yeah,
obviously
they did.
Brady is Brady, and
Yeah.
thankfully he's not
Now
in
he
the
does
league
Gillette
anymore.
commercials. So.
Yeah. Next one. This one's kind of funny. Who has the largest in size, as in a size 25 Super Bowl ring? Which player was given that?
Mean Joe Green.
No, but
guess.
good position.
Why can't-
Positionally, that is correct.
Is it Vince Wilfork?
Positionally correct. I have the same position, so
Yeah.
you're gonna regret not knowing this if you can't get
Dude, why am I just blanking
Regret?
on
it. Think of kitchen appliances.
the kitchen appliances?
Think of like a large kitchen appliance.
William Perry.
William Perry, the fridge,
my
size.
Oh,
25.
yeah.
I don't even know how big that is, but that's
That's
not a
crazy.
massive. I don't make rings. I don't know what the job description is.
They call him the fridge.
This
for a
one
reason.
came in a loss. Who has passed for the most yards in a single Super Bowl game? And how many yards? That's a bonus point if you want points.
Is it
Is it Matt Ryan?
Ben Roethlisberger?
No.
Is it Tom Brady?
It's Tom Brady against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh,
I guess that
Or
makes sense.
yeah.
That was a crazy offensive game.
415 yards.
No. 505.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He had to sling the rock.
Jeez.
The lowest scoring Super Bowl ever was between what two teams?
Oh, Patriots Rams.
What was the score?
10-3.
No.
13.
No.
3.
13 to
No.
All right. This one, there's only been 2 people ever to win a Super Bowl as a player, assistant coach, and head coach. Who is it?
I saw this on Instagram recently.
Not fair.
But I don't remember.
Think of big old mustache and aviators.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
What?
Big old mustache. Aviators?
Yeah. What position did he play?
Oh, I don't remember because he played in the 80s. Same team as William Perry, I believe. No, not same team. He played before that.
Mike Ditka.
Mike Ditka.
Okay.
Mike Ditka.
Yeah.
He coached William Perry.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Something like
Something like that.
No, yeah, duh, dude.
Yeah.
Come on. what
Mike
are you
Ditka.
doing? Yeah.
The other one was Dan Reeves. I'm not sure who that was. What was the cost of an average 30-second ad last Super Bowl?
Wasn't it like $2 million?
Higher.
$6 million.
A little bit higher.
12
$7
million.
million.
$7 million.
Crazy.
Dang.
$7 million. That's
Crazy, man.
why.
Dude, it's
You could buy like a fighter jet with that money. All right, there's been only 2 quarterbacks to start and win for 2 different teams in the Super Bowl.
Kurt Warner.
What?
Tom Brady.
That's one. Who's the other
Oh,
one?
Peyton
Warner
Manning.
lost.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah. Why Kurt Warner?
He won with the Rams and then he lost with the Cardinals.
Oh, okay.
I forgot. The
Start
Cardinals
and win. That was the big one. Now
My bad, my
finally,
bad.
it's not really a question.
Arena
Let's make a
football.
Super Bowl pick. Who's winning the 2024 Super Bowl?
Baltimore Ravens will beat the Detroit Lions.
Lions to the Super Bowl.
How about some Baker Mayfield? I'm
What?
gonna go
That
with
would be crazy.
Like the
I'd like to
Bucks
see
Baker
that.
the
Mayfield?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No, Oklahoma Sooners.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be in Las Vegas in February.
Well, are they winning?
They're going to be in the Super
Okay, who's winning? That's the pick. That's the question.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'll go with the safe option. Give me the Chiefs over
No.
the 49ers.
Safe?
It's safe.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes, dude.
I think it is safe because it is the defending champs. When's the last time there's been a back-to-back, though?
Been a while.
It's been a while. Is this the year for it?
No.
Been a while.
I'm trying to
Definitely not.
I'm not going to make my pick because his jersey's on the table. But
The Dallas Cowboys.
the Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons. That's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Be sure to follow along on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports, as well as at the Toss-Up on both Instagram and Twitter as well. There's one thing left to do for the first show of the season, and once again, it's the pigskin. We can call it that because that's what it's called. That's what it is. Toss it up to Noel, and he caught it. We'll see you next time.